Yasodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yamuna Chira Vanacharya Yamuna Chira Vanacharya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Om Agyatamandasya Jananjana Salakaya Chaksuramilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Vanchakalpachubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vaevacha Patitananam Bhavanebhyo Sri Krishna Chaitanya Hare Krishna. We'll talk about Srila Prabhupada this morning. Talking about the pure devotee of Krishna is like talking about Krishna. So let us chant pranams to Vasudeva. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So I'd like to begin reciting some of the prayers that Srila Prabhupada made when he arrived in America. We can then see from these prayers Srila Prabhupada's mood, which I will talk more about after the prayers. I'm not going to recite all of them, but here is at least a few. How will I make them understand this message of Krishna consciousness? I am very unfortunate, unqualified, and the most fallen. Therefore, I am seeking your benediction so that I can convince them, for I am powerless to do so on my own. Somehow or other, O Lord, you have brought me here to speak about you. Now, my Lord, it is up to you to make me a success or a failure as you like. O spiritual master of all the worlds, I can simply repeat your message. So if you like, you can make my power of speaking suitable for them to understand. Only by your causeless mercy will my words become pure. I am sure that when this transcendental message penetrates their hearts, they will certainly feel engladdened and thus become liberated from all unhappiness and all unhappy conditions of life. O Lord, I am just like a puppet in your hands. So if you have brought me here to dance, then make me dance, make me dance. O Lord, make me dance as you like. I have no devotion, nor do I have any knowledge. But I have a strong faith in the holy name of Krishna. I have been designated as Bhaktivedanta, and now if you like, you can fulfill the real purport of Bhaktivedanta. So those are prayers which, as we've heard, are full of humility. They are full of a feeling of inadequateness to fulfill the order of his Guru. So to be able to fulfill that order, he seeked benedictions from both his spiritual master and Krishna. This is actually the beginning in everything that we do. We must begin by seeking the blessings of Guru and Krishna. Because without those blessings we cannot do anything. Spiritual life is not a mechanical process, it's a spiritual process. We make our little effort, so we are to some extent achievers, but we also need to be receivers. It is not just achieving. In the material world, this is the main component. I must achieve something. So in the universities, you get a degree according to how much you have achieved, how much study and dedication that you put into it. So that gives an impact on the results, whether you get your diploma. But in spiritual life, it's different. We do make our effort, but we also seek the grace from above. And Srila Prabhupada, although he was a pure devotee, he was no exception to this rule. In fact, even before he came to America, he would take shelter of Rupa Goswami, the 6 Goswamis, Sri Advaita Acharya, Nityananda Prabhu, Lord Chaitanya, Mahaprabhu. So we can take solace from that we also have service, we have a mission. But if we want to actually be successful in that mission, we should actually take time and offer these kind of prayers that Prabhupada has offered. I remember when I was a young devotee, that was not something that I did. We would go to Sankirtan, we would go to a town with the idea of delivering the town in one day. Come on, let's go. Let's go to this town and we will deliver it. This was the mood that we had. And we were convinced we could deliver it. Of course, by the end of the day, we got a little disappointed. There was no deliverance. People were still in Maya. It's only later in spiritual life that you realize that actually you can do nothing unless you take that time to say to your Guru, my Guru, I am just a puppet in your hands. You are pulling the strings. So you make me dance. You make me successful. Alone I have no possibility of being successful. And therefore, because he did that, he was successful. In fact, Srila Prabhupada was so successful that he was even surprised himself. In fact, his order, the order of his guru, Bhaktivedanta, was to go and preach in the West. Well, he did that and he was successful, but then he came back to India and he preached in India. Because India, it needed Krishna consciousness too. Practically speaking, everyone was a Hindu. Hindu means, well, you worship every god because they're all the same. I was explaining a few days ago when I was in Bombay in those early days. One sannyasi was giving class. And after the class, one Indian man he was so frustrated. He said, "What is this Krishna, Krishna? What all is Krishna, Krishna, Krishna? What about Durga? What about Shiva? What about Ganesh?" This sannyasi was very clever. He knew how to preach to Hindus. He says, well, if all the gods are the same, then why are you excluding Krishna? He said, no, you will not worship Krishna because Krishna is Hari. And Hari is the one who takes everything away from you. Prabhupada said that about his own life. He said, I tried to save my business and my family, but Krishna took it all away. He made me a beggar. I was loitering in the streets of New York for 1 whole year without any friends, without any money. And then Krishna gave me everything, so much that I could not even hold in my 2 hands. So this is what is explained in the Bhagavatam, that the first installment, Krishna's first installment for us all, is that he starts to take things away from you that you don't need. Because this is the difference between demigod worship and the worship of Vishnu or Krishna. Demigods will give you what you want, but Krishna will only give you what you need. Whatever you don't need, he will take it away. Prabhupada was at one pandal in Bombay. Thousands of people attended the pandal. And one night, as Prabhupada was walking out after his class, one very rich Indian gentleman came with his wife and bowed at Prabhupada's lotus feet. And as he got up, he said, Swamiji, I have come for your mercy. And Prabhupada looked at him and he said, you don't need my mercy. He said, yes, Swamiji, I have come especially for your mercy. Prabhupada said again, you don't need my mercy. No, Swamiji, no. I have especially come. This is my chance to get your mercy. Please, please, please give me your mercy. So Srila Prabhupada said, okay, you can get my mercy. I prayed to Krishna that he takes away all your material opulence. This is my mercy. No, not that mercy. He was so surprised because he was thinking that opulence, material opulence, is what is needed. That is going to make you happy, not anything else. So he got a big surprise. Prabhupada said he would take all his opulence away. Krishna would take all his opulence. This is the mercy that a pure devotee can give. And then of course, Krishna may take it away. He is Hari, he's the king of thieves. He will take everything away, what you don't need, but then he'll give back later when you become more Krishna conscious. Because then you'll know how to use that opulence and use it in Krishna's service. So when Prabhupada arrived in New York, he met one Indian gentleman, his name's Swami Nikhilananda. He was from the Ramakrishna mission. And Prabhupada used to go to his studio and bring some prasad for Ramakrishna, for Nikhilananda Swami. And this Nikhilananda Swami would preach to Prabhupada, if you want to stay in the West, you need to change your habits. You need to change your diet and your dress. This is a cold climate, and without eating meat and drinking a little liquor, and without a pair of pants on, you will not survive. Also, if I remember, also one godbrother before Prabhupada left for America told him that if you go to America, you must eat with knife and fork. So he was given all this advice on how to be in America, but Prabhupada never compromised. And this is what he said. He said, many Indians have come to the West. They have compromised. They have compromised because they have come to the West to beg technology, to beg technological knowledge. So when you come to beg something, then you have to abide by the rules and regulations of that country. You conform. Well, they're giving me something, so I'll adopt accordingly their lifestyle. But Prabhupada said, I have not come to beg anything from the West, but instead I've come to give something, Krishna consciousness. So he never compromised. He never ate with a knife and fork. You never saw him with a pair of pants on. He had dhoti kurta, shaved head, tilak, and he had a very strict diet. He cooked his own food, chapatis, rice, dal, sabji, simple, never compromised. And instead he turned the whole world on to chapatis, rice, dal, and sabji. He showed us how to cook. He said, this is what Krishna is eating every day. Samosas, kachoris, puris, sandesh, shrikam. He said, this is what I'm giving you. You eat this. Offer to Krishna and then eat. This will be your... Of course, he was in Los Angeles once and a servant gave him a sweet. It was one of these health sweets. And Prabhupada looked at it, he said, what is that? He said, the devotee said, well, it's been made, in this temple they like to eat health sweets. He said, I've given so many sweet recipes. Why are you concocting new recipe? So he was very adamant about the fact that we should eat the same as Krishna eats every day. But the tendency in the West is to adopt the the Western style of eating. There's a saying in the West, what is a liberated chapati? And the answer is a pizza. And I think that's really offensive to the chapati. Personally, I think that's very offensive. I say a liberated chapati is a dosa with some chipped vegetables on top. That's a liberated chapati. I love those. Anyway, it's very important that we keep up the legacy of Srila Prabhupada and not change it in any way. He showed us how to make a chants. In the first temple in London, I joined in 1972, and in the beginning I was washing pots. Like every bhakta starts with washing the pots. So I was coming to the kitchen every day washing the pots. But I'd be watching the cooks cooking and how they would make their chants. And amongst the cooks there was a little competition. The competition was who would make the best chants. And especially when you put the chili in the chants. How many people is going to cough? And how far up the stairs would it go? It was like a competition. Huh? But it was fun because it was a new thing for us. You know, just to make a chants, to make some sabji, first to make the chants. It was just so revolutionary in our life. It was so special. So this is a legacy of Srila Prabhupada, how to eat properly, what is the best kind of diet to have. And Prabhupada said during the week it should be simple, chapatis, rice, dal and sabji. And then on the Sunday you should prepare a feast. And actually the feast is what made me the devotee. I got an invitation to a love feast in London. So it was free, so I thought, wow, it's free, let me go. And when I went to the temple, to the love feast that Sunday, I didn't understand the kirtan or the pravachan. The philosophy was way above my head. Kirtan was a little too loud, but I perfectly understood the prasadam. Perfectly understood. And I can tell you what was on the plates. There was 2 plates. Someone help this lady? She's okay? There were 2 plates. The salty plate. 2 sabjis made with ghee. Puris that puffed up, samosas, chutney, raita, kofta, papadam, the sweet plate, halava, sweet rice, laddu, gulab jam, Shrikam, and a nectar drink. Prabhupada said that in the beginning you should come to the temple and eat as much as you can, as much as you like. And after the feast you should walk away like a duck. You know what a duck is? Do you have any ducks here? They kind of walk like this. So that's what I did for months, even before I chanted. I just came to the Sunday feast. And then a devotee says, "Oh, you like our food. Why don't you come for lunch every day?" So I said, "Well, why not?" And that's what I did. So Prabhupada knew that no one comes to the temple first to hear philosophy. Who understands Atma Tattva as soon as you walk in the door? Cannot understand. Atma Tattva, what's that? As far as I know, I'm my body, and just give me something to eat. But that eating, Prabhupada said the eating in Krishna consciousness is a yoga feat. It's a yoga perfection. There's no other yoga system where you can sit down and eat and make spiritual advancement. So we're very lucky. If anything, if we can eat, if we're attracted to prasadam, we will become Krishna conscious. So Srila Prabhupada had a lot of ammunition. You know ammunition? It's like when you fire a gun, you fire ammunition. He had good reasoning power. And he had very good arguments. He had personal saintliness and had a mystical connection with the Supreme Lord. He was reciting the Vedic literature, and he himself was a great Vaishnava from the tradition. He spoke about acharyas. He was very Krishna conscious. He said he was preaching the same that Christ and Buddha taught. Buddha was teaching non-violence. Christ said, what is that quote? Love God with all thy heart. That's one. Love God with all thy heart. So the teachings, there was no confliction regarding the philosophy of Krishna consciousness and what had been taught before. Sometimes during Prabhupada's lectures, he would say, "I'm not just saying this, but I am convinced." Other times he would say, "Rest assured, take it from me. I know what I'm talking about. I have realized this. This is a fact, so please take it and accept it from me. If you chant Hare Krishna, you will understand Krishna consciousness, and you will understand Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All of this will be revealed to you. Take it from me." There are higher planets. Just because you can't see, it doesn't mean to say they do not exist. Don't be Dr. Frog. You know Dr. Frog? Dr. Frog, he only believed what he could see. But Prabhupada said there's more beyond our vision than within our vision. There's more beyond our understanding than within our understanding. All these Dr. Frog scientists, they only believe what they see. One of the first astronauts that went out into space, he was from Russia. When he came back from his space voyage, he told everyone, God does not exist because I didn't see him. Because I didn't see him out there, he doesn't exist. And he convinced the population, oh, well, if the astronaut didn't see God, then he doesn't exist. This is so prophetic, so typical of materialistic people. Well, if I don't see, then I don't believe. Seeing is believing, they say. Sometimes Prabhupada would be asked questions. Are you happy? And Prabhupada would say, well, if I said yes, would you believe me? Another person would say, do you know everything? These are kind of challenging questions. Do you know everything? And Prabhupada would say, I know what Krishna wants me to know, and that's all. I know what Krishna wants me to know. That is all that's necessary. I don't have to know everything. I know what Krishna wants me to know, and that is sufficient. How many pure devotees are there on the planet? Prabhupada would say, this is not a very intelligent question. But another devotee once asked this question, how many pure devotees there are? And Prabhupada answered, how many persons there are in Krishna consciousness? Because we were expecting him to say, well, one or two pure devotees. He said, how many devotees there are in ISKCON? And at that time there were 1,000 devotees. And Prabhupada said, there are 1,000 liberated souls. He said, as soon as you chant the Hare Krishna mantra, you come up on the liberated platform. He said that if you chant every day your 16 rounds, then you transcend the limits of material nature. The free modes of nature are very, very powerful, and they keep us down in those modes. We have to suffer the reactions of our actions. He said, but if you chant your 16 rounds every day, then you rise above the modes of material nature, and you are transcendentally situated. He also said if you can chant your 16 rounds by 10 o'clock in the morning, you'll have no anxiety throughout the day. This is a very powerful statement. If you can chant your 16 rounds by 10 o'clock in the morning, if you can chant your 16 rounds by 10 o'clock in the morning, you'll have no anxiety throughout the day. No anxiety. You know what it's like when you still have 8 rounds and it's 7 o'clock in the evening. All day you've been anxiety. Oh, I still got 8 rounds. I still got 8 rounds. It's like your own little mantra. I still got 8 rounds. I still got 8 rounds. Terrible. Oh no, what shall I do? This is anxiety. But if you do them in the morning time, and you got the whole day free, you can just concentrate on your service. One time Prabhupada saw a bead bag hanging on the door handle. He said, "Who's that bead bag? Hungry. Hungry for the holy name." Sometimes devotees leave their bead bags hanging around. When someone important comes, then they take their bead bag and make it look as if they're devotees. Srila Prabhupada's smile. And Prabhupada had this wonderful smile. I mean, often he was very grave. He said if he wasn't grave, he wouldn't have been able to make us devotees. If he wasn't grave, he wouldn't have been able to make us devotees. So he was also very, as a matter of fact, you should do this, and you should do this, and you should do this. So Krishna Consciousness is very serious. But at the same time, Prabhupada was human, and sometimes he would, this big smile. When Prabhupada smiled, it started from his chin. It came up to his mouth and his teeth. They also smiled. His ears were smiling, his nose smiled, his eyes smiled, his eyebrow and his forehead, the whole face was just like oceanic. And when you saw that smile, you could understand, wow, what a smile. I've never seen anything like it. And it made you smile too. You automatically felt, oh, Prabhupada's happy. He's happy with us. And we also smiled. Of course, some devotees, we were impersonalists. Before we became devotees, we were impersonal hippies. So sometimes we did not conform properly. So even if we saw Prabhupada smile, we would try to not smile. No, I'm not going to smile. Like that. You can try that. It's like someone putting a plate of prasadam in front of you. You could say, no, not me. How long will you last? In one temple in Sweden, there was a Sunday feast program. What is that group called? Ananda Marg. Ananda Marg. They're impersonalists. They had all their orange clothes and orange turbans. They came and sat on the lawn. Everyone else was in the temple room, kirtan, pravachan. And then we came out onto the lawn to take prasadam. They were still there in meditation. Everyone was lining up, taking prasad. And they started eating prasad. And these yogis. And I was watching them. And every so often, they were so we were discussing, what should we do with these guys? So the temple president said, just make up plates. Make up plates and put it in front of you. Put it in front of them. So he made up these plates. So they were like this. Every so often looking down. They tried as long as they could. They were pretty good. They lasted about, half an hour there. But then, what can you do? This is prasad. You have to take prasad. Once Srila Prabhupada's godbrother pointed out that your disciples are not very cultured. And Prabhupada's reply was, but they will do anything that I ask them. This is Guru Nishtha. They may be uncultured, but they'll do anything I ask them. They will immediately do it. Guru Nishtha, that's the first qualification, to be loyal to your Guru. Another godbrother has said, your disciples don't chant very quickly. When they chant their japa, they chant really slowly. And Prabhupada said, well, what do you expect? It's a foreign language to them. Hey, come on, laugh. What's up with you guys? Half asleep there? Didn't you like that? Did you think that was funny? Yeah, it was funny. What do you expect? It's a foreign language. It is a foreign language. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. When you first start chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, you're thinking, what am I doing here? What am I saying? I remember when I had all my hair cut. My hair was down here. Beard, mustache, everything. One day it was all cut off. And they said, go on the street on Harinam, go on. So I was like, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. and then the Harinam stopped and faced everyone. And I'm kind of looking there and thinking, everyone's looking at me. Of course, no one was really looking at me. I was thinking everyone was looking at me. They must be looking at me, because I must be looking really strange. What time is it? We're going back to the temple. That's the first time you go on Harinam. It's strange, everything's strange, it's foreign. But after a couple of weeks, then we become more familiar. And you realize actually they were not looking at me, they were looking at the whole party. They may be wondering, well, who are these people? But it wasn't like they were focusing on one person. Hey, look at that person over there, the one with the shaved head. He must have had his head shaved this morning. It's not like that. But you think it's like that. See? It's all foreign. So we need to practice on a regular basis. What's that English word? Consistency. Consistency is a really special word within Krishna consciousness. Consistent, every day of the week, every week of the year, year after year after year after year. And then everything becomes very natural. Because it's natural for the soul. Srila Prabhupada would preach. Rupa Goswami advised that if it is possible, please purchase Krishna Consciousness. Don't delay. Purchase immediately. Where it is available, If it is such a nice thing, yes, the movement is going on. What is the price? Yes, it is such a nice thing, you must pay a price. What is that price? Simply your eagerness. This price you must pay, then you will get Krishna. Krishna is not poor, and the devotees are not poor. Devotee can distribute Krishna consciousness free. Simply you have to purchase by your eagerness. This eagerness is very important, and it can happen by the association of devotees. Therefore, we are giving a chance for everyone to invoke that eagerness. Then you can see Krishna eye to eye. You want to see Krishna eye to eye? Then invoke that eagerness. It is not difficult. If you think, I must see Krishna in this life is meant for seeing Krishna. It is not meant for becoming dogs and hogs. Unfortunately, the whole civilization is going on to be trained to become dogs and hogs. This is the only institution which is teaching how to see Krishna. With eagerness, you will be enriched with knowledge and detachment. Knowledge does not mean now we have discovered the atomic bomb. What is this knowledge? People are dying. You have discovered something which will excel death. What we are giving is knowledge. Stop death. That is Krishna consciousness. This is real knowledge. So powerful. He also said that this is in regards to the failure of marriage in our society. Because even devotees' marriages are failing. He said, since husband and wife already had sex before marriage, they never became attached to each other. The woman's mentality is that whoever she first has sex with, she will always remember. Therefore, in Vedic culture, she is married when she is very young. Then, when she reaches puberty, she'll feel sex desire and can live with the husband for the rest of her life. In India, both husband and wife and children are healthy and happy. Prabhupada's wife was 12 years old when they married. Prabhupada said that he had studied the Western mentality, the men's mentality, and the reason that they did not like to marry, he said, he mentioned that there was a young man, a carpenter, who came to the temple every day. After some time, Prabhupada asked him, why don't you get married? But the man said he didn't want to get married because there were no qualified women who were faithful. He said it's better just to have some girlfriends. And then Prabhupada made a joke. He said, when the milk is available in the market, who needs a cow? One time Prabhupada's servant saw Prabhupada washing his own dhoti in a bucket. He came up to Prabhupada and said, I will wash this for you. And Prabhupada replied, I can wash my own clothes. In that way I can remain independent. Another time he was kneeling on the floor, washing the floor in his room. Again the servant said, Prabhupada, let me do this. Prabhupada said, he looked up, he said, be as independent as possible. So this is also very instructive. Sometimes it's actually quite difficult to be a sannyasi because people give you things, they worship you, they give you flower garlands. It's like, they do everything for you. And for a sannyasi, that's not very good. But at the same time, we have to give people opportunity to serve sannyasis. So it's a kind of a little contradictory. You want to be a sannyasi, but at the same time, you want to be open so that people can serve sannyasis. I remember the first day I took sannyas. The next morning I went to the temple. It was in Mayapur. I was going from my room to Mangalarti, and I saw everyone was bowing down to me. And I was thinking, wow, what's this, It's already so austere for these devotees. Why do they need to bow down to me? So I was thinking, maybe I should just not carry my danda, then they won't know that I'm a sannyasi. But that didn't work either. So I thought, well, maybe there's some back streets in Mayapur, but there are no back streets in Mayapur. There are devotees everywhere. In the end, I had to actually preach to myself. I said, come on, you asked for sannyas, now you got it. But you belong to an institution, and therefore from the institutional point of view, you have to conform. You have to give your mercy. And people are not bowing to you. Anyway, they're not bowing to you, they're bowing to the order of sannyas. But sometimes sannyasis need to go to a base where they can wash their own clothes, wash their own floor, cook their own food. It's very important for us. So Prabhupada is saying here to be as independent as possible. Not independent from Krishna and Guru, but independent from others serving you. Prabhupada gave a nice example of samsara, the wheel of birth and death. And he compared it to the hamster. You know what a hamster is? Hamster in the cage. He's on the wheel. You're inside the wheel. He's moving like this. Do you have hamsters here? Huh? So he thinks he's going somewhere, but he's going nowhere. And this is the example Prabhupada gives for birth and death. Birth, death, 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 birth, death. More birth, death, more birth, death, 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 birth, death. You think you're going somewhere, but you're just going around in circles. So we want to stop. Prabhupada said we want to stop this birth-death business. He called boiled vegetables the starvation diet. There's a fashion nowadays in the West to have boiled vegetables. He called it a starvation diet. One time he heard that a devotee was learning Hindi language. He called the devotee to his room. He said, "Why are you learning Hindi?" And the devotee said, "So that I can preach and make the Indians devotees." This is what Prabhupada said. "I have been preaching to Indians all my life. And I have not made one Indian a devotee. So what can you do?" He said the Indian people were well-wishers and friends, but they never became devotees. He said, sometimes I would go to one family and say, "Give me your son, I will make him a brahmachari." But they would say, "Oh, no, 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 we're not interested in that. We want him to be doctor, scientist, not brahmachari." It's very important to get a balance in Krishna consciousness, and these are some examples of how some imbalance was there in our service. There was one Sanskrit editor who would come to Prabhupada's room every so often to ask questions. So the first time he would come in the room, he would pay full dandabats and full pranams. The second time it would not be dandabats but just bowed his head and did pranams. The third time it would be half the pranams. The fourth time it would be no pranams and just bowing down and getting up. And Prabhupada said to this devotee, "What is this hatchet obeisances?" Hatchet is when you up, down, up, down. And then another sannyasi, he did the opposite. Every time he came into Prabhupada's room, he was also the servant. He would pay full dandabats and he would stay there for at least 5 minutes offering different prayers to the Guru. So Prabhupada he allowed it to go on for some time. But then he said, "Get up. How will you get any work done if you're just down there on the floor?" There was another devotee, Vishal. Do you know who Vishal is? Vishal? He used to live in Vrindavan. And every time he saw Prabhupada, he would say, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, the Jagat Guru, the Savior of the world, the lovable spiritual master who we fall at his feet with full obeisances, Ki Jai." I read that again. So, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, the Jagat Guru, the Savior of the world, the lovable spiritual master who we fall at his feet with full obeisances, Ki Jai. One day Prabhupada asked him, "Don't you have anything to do? do something practical." Srila Prabhupada was also introduced to a disciple who was the first disciple to learn the Bhagavad Gita off by heart. So as he was introduced, Prabhupada, this is such and such. He's the first disciple who's learned the whole Bhagavad Gita off by heart. And Prabhupada didn't even look at him. He said to the servant, well, make sure that while he's in Vrindavan, that he's serving nicely, does some service. So in other words, he wasn't impressed just because of some academic study. Prabhupada was always impressed if we were engaged nicely in devotional service. He was also asked, what do you do in the temple when some Indian man is making a show of his ecstasy? I don't know if you ever have it here, but sometimes in Vrindavan you get these, individuals who start rolling around and, making a show of ecstasy. So the devotees were asking, what do you do? What should you do with such a person? So his answer was, give them a kick. And if they get up annoyed, then you know they're not in ecstasy. If he doesn't get up, he's sincere. Another devotee asked Prabhupada, can you give me the blessings to go to Radhakund to chant 64 rounds every day? And Prabhupada's reply was, no, I'm not going to give you blessings for that because there are already so many monkeys there. Another question, is there any mosquitoes in Krishna Loka? Prabhupada said, if there are any mosquitoes in Krishna Loka, they don't bite, but they sing. One morning, Srila Prabhupada entered the kitchen where Harsharini Devi Dasi and Yamuna Devi Dasi were making samosas. Srila Prabhupada began to eat a samosa, and Harsarani said, you cannot eat in the kitchen. But Srila Prabhupada ate another one. How many can you eat? She asked. Prabhupada, more than you can make. She then replied, but you told us not to eat in the kitchen. But you are eating in the kitchen. Prabhupada asked, who gave you this rule? She said, you did. You taught us not to eat or taste food while we are cooking in the kitchen for Krishna. And then Prabhupada said, well, if I gave the rule, I can break it. And then bit into another samosa. Regarding japa, Srila Prabhupada once was finishing his last round, and he said to his servant, it was Shruti Kirti, there, finished 16 rounds. Now I can do any damn thing I like. Means that after 16 rounds you can do anything. You can be anywhere. It won't be affected by any influence of Maya. He also said, in regards to japa, 90% of our advancement is dependent on chanting. 90%. 90% of our advancement is dependent on our daily chanting. All other processes of bhakti are contained in this chanting. Chanting is the most important of the 9 processes of devotional service. Chanting is the support. It supports all the other processes of bhakti. The goal is to always remember Krishna. The best way to do that is to chant. Your beads are your connection to Krishna. Your beads are your ticket back home, back to Godhead. This chanting is the essence of our philosophy. And then he also added, if it wasn't for the Hare Krishna mantra, you boys and girls would not be able to do anything. Okay. Anyone has any questions you want to ask?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, here we discussed about prasadam, eating prasadam. So, in general we see that even after eating prasadam, so devotee get diseased, they get different sickness. So what could be the cause of this, Maharaj? How we can avoid this?
What was the question?
Even after devotees take prasada, they get diseased. What's the cause?
Well, Prabhupada would mention that we have to be careful in our daily practices of Krishna consciousness to be regulated. Often Prabhupada noticed that even amongst his servants, they would take rest after taking prasadam. That's the worst thing you can do. You take prasadam, and especially in India where the sun is so hot, and it takes longer to digest. In the West, where it's cold, it's easy to digest after taking prasad. But in India, it's not the same. So he would sometimes come into the servant's room and tell them to get up. Why are you sleeping? What are you doing sleeping? Why are you sleeping? Get up, do some service. And he would point out that this sleeping after prasadam is not healthy. So that's one cause. Sometimes in the kitchen, devotees are cooking, they don't wash their hands properly. This was also something which we were taught in the early days. We were taught to wash our hands thoroughly. In fact, now that you can get online videos of how to wash your hands, you have to go in between the fingers. You have to cover the whole hand. So nowadays especially, we touch things where hundreds of other people have touched it, who have not washed their hands. So something like that can also cause sicknesses.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, may you please share some of your memories with Srila Prabhupada, your personal memories, how you met Srila Prabhupada and some exchanges.
There was one morning walk which comes to mind right now. This was in London, 1973. So every morning Prabhupada would go on a morning walk. He said 3 things that kept me healthy: my morning walk, my daily massage, and my Ayurvedic medicine. Those 3 things kept him healthy. So that's another point, Get exercise. I'm going out every day for at least an hour to walk. As a sannyasi, we're always sitting down. We sit in vyasasanas, we sit in planes, trains, cars. We're always sitting. And sometimes we forget to exercise. It must be done every day, otherwise the body just starts to collapse. Anyway, what was I saying? What was I just saying? Morning walk. It was a cold morning, just a little bit like this, but probably worse. It was quite cold and damp. And all the puddles of water had turned into ice. And Prabhupada did something very unusual, because generally on a morning walk, if he wasn't chanting, he would just speak some philosophy and then move on and walk again. But this particular morning, with his cane, he was smashing the ice puddles. And then he would go to the next puddle and smash that. And then the next and the next. And all the way around the park, he just kept smashing the ice. And then in one puddle he said, "What does this mean?" And one devotee said, "Well, it's ice, Prabhupada." And Prabhupada said, "I know it's ice, but what does it mean?" And no one could answer. And then Prabhupada said, "Ice is Maya." He said the natural constitution of water is liquid, but when it comes in contact with freezing weather, it becomes ice, hard, slippery, dangerous. He said the same way, our hearts are naturally very soft, but because we've been sitting on the lap of Maya, our hearts have become hard. So then he continued the analogy. He said, this morning the sun will rise and it will melt this ice. In the same way, if you chant this Hare Krishna mantra regularly every day, gradually that hard heart will also retain its natural constitutional position of being a soft heart. So it was a very revealing experience to see how Prabhupada related everything on the morning walk to Krishna. Another morning walk in the same park, one man was fishing and his devotees were coming, and right as we were coming past this man fishing, he caught a fish and he turned around to Prabhupada and said, "Would you like?" And Prabhupada said, "No, you enjoy." And then he walked a few more steps and said to the disciples, "And then suffer afterwards." So those morning walks were very special. We didn't want to miss one of those, but not everyone could go, so we were hand-picked okay, you can go, you can go, you can go. And we were always there waiting when will be my turn to go on the morning walk. So that was one experience which I always remember. Huh? First meeting. You really want to know? One of the first times I came to the temple, like I said, I had long hair and beard, mustache. We hippies, we thought we were God. And if we weren't God, we soon would be. Because we look like God. Because the idea in the West is God is like an old man with a white beard, with long hair. One devotee was preaching to me. He was sitting on the stairs leading up to the ashram. And at one point he suddenly bowed down right at my feet. And I was thinking, wow, this guy really understands me. But when he got up, he said, did you see my guru? So Prabhupada had walked from his room to the bathroom. And that's who he was bowing down to, not me. I was a little disappointed, of course. He said, if you want, you can come and see him tonight. He's giving the Bhagavad Gita class. And I did come, but I came a little late. Prabhupada was already giving class. And when I walked into the temple room, Prabhupada was on one side and the deities were on the other side. So I went as far away from Prabhupada as possible, and I was sitting right next to the deities. There was just one rope separating me from Radha Londonishvara. And as I sat down, I immediately became offensive to Srila Prabhupada, wondering why all these young people were listening to an old man. Because as hippies, we didn't believe in the older generation. They had done nothing for the world. 2 world wars, and Vietnam War was also going on. We wanted to start a new revolution. This was how we were thinking. Anyway, after some time, devotees started to look back in my direction. And I couldn't really figure out what was the problem. They were looking at me. Everyone was just turning around and looking at me. And then after some time I realized what the problem was. And the problem was that I hadn't changed my socks in 8 or 9 days. And my feet were smelling so bad that the head pujari got up. She didn't light one incense stick. She had a whole bunch of them in her hand. She lit the whole. She offered them to Radha Londonishvara, hoping that they would get some relief. After Prabhupada's class, he went up to the temple, up to his room. And then one devotee came up to me and asked me, his hands were folded like this. He said, do you want to come back here again? I said, well, why not? He said, can you please change your socks before you come? So this was my first experience of Prabhupada's presence. They say that to purify yourself, you must bathe in the Ganges many, many times. But one moment's association with a pure devotee can change your life immediately. Since that day, I've had clean socks every day. Haribol. This is what the pure devotee does. It's very powerful. There's me thinking, I know better than him. Who is this old man? And I could not even wash my feet. This is the big illusion of the conditioned souls. They think they know so much, but the simple thing of washing your feet, you don't even know that. Therefore, what do you know?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, my question is, when did you realize that the taste for Hari Nam has developed more than any other delicacies that you initially came for?
What's that?
Taste for Hari Nam.
How long did it take?
No, when did you realize that the taste for Hari Nam has developed in you and now you're not coming for any more delicacies? I mean the food that you were coming for initially, now you don't want any more, but the taste, you started getting that taste being the mantra as a foreign language to you.
Yeah, I was coming for at least 3 months just to take prasad. And one day something very mystical happened. I was coming home or coming back to the place where I was living from the temple. And in London have buses, top deck and bottom deck. I was on the top deck. And there was no one else there. And I was just, minding my own business. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And all that evening I was just chanting, I couldn't stop. Next day I went to the temple, I said, hey you guys, I've got a problem. They said, what's your problem? I said, I keep chanting your mantra and I can't stop. And one devotee laughed. He said, do you realize what you've been eating the last 3 months? Good food. He said, prasad is Krishna. Krishna is prasad. He said, you've eaten so much prasad that now Krishna's dancing on your tongue because your tongue has been purified. This is what Krishna does. When you're ready, he will dance on your tongue. And you will think, wow, why didn't I do this before? Why is it taking so long? Simple thing, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So I was enjoying for quite some time the holy name of the Lord. And I was feeling great ecstasy, great pleasure, realizing that I've got something now which is better than anything that I've had in my whole life. And every day I was just waiting to chant the Hare Krishna mantra. But then suddenly something else happens. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama. You know, suddenly Krishna jumps off the tongue and he takes some distance and he's watching you. Well, he doesn't need binoculars, but he watches you. And he wants to see how sincere you are. Okay, I have given you a taste now. I have given you the taste. Now let me see how sincere you are. And this happens to all of us. I'm sure it's happened to you, yeah? In the beginning, great ecstasy, tip-top, couldn't be better. But then suddenly, who turned the lights out? And you wonder why. And this is the reason. And you realize actually then Krishna must be in control of my spiritual life. And he wants to see how determined I am to keep up this momentum, chanting every day. But I did hear that Prabhupada had said, I don't know if it's true, but supposedly he had said that it took him 30 years to perfect his chanting. Whether that's true or not, it took me at least 30 years to steady my mind and have a little taste for the holy name. Welcome to Krishna Consciousness. It's not a quick fix. You need to spend at least a good 30 years. In fact, I can safely say it took at least 10 years of spiritual practice just to forget the first 20 years of my life as a non-devotee. And Prabhupada, he said that to Shruti Kirti too. He said it takes at least 12 years before whatever you say and do will have some meaning. As a young devotee, you're up and down, you know, you're going all over the place. You're not steady. You have little faith, not so much determination and enthusiasm. And Vishwanath Chakravarti also says that in the beginning the enthusiasm is false enthusiasm. But as Prabhupada would say, a blind uncle is better than no uncle. So better false enthusiasm than enthusiasm. So even if you don't want to jump in the air in kirtan, do it anyway, because that will generate enthusiasm. Yeah? But anyway, that's my understanding of japa. It takes a while to, as I said, or as Prabhupada said, it's a foreign language to us. And we must be consistent in our practices. Is that okay?
Yes. Maharaj, I have another question if nobody is asking. I am just keen to know, Maharaj, that when you were getting your first initiation.
My first what?
Initiation.
Initiation.
Yeah. Okay. I'm trying to understand what was your mindset at that point of time when, you know, your meeting was Prabhupada, was very casual, and when you got into that stage wherein you are getting first initiation from Prabhupada. So how did you feel at that moment? What was going in your mind that how you're going to serve this mission? How you'll be determined towards Prabhupada? How you're going to serve him as your spiritual master? So.
I got initiation in Trafalgar Square. It's in the Rath Yatra festival. The day after initiation, we were asked to go on the street to collect Guru Dakshin. See, nowadays there's no problem. There's so many grihastas, you just walk around and say, can you give a donation? Well, there was no grihastas in those days. We were all brahmacharis and brahmacharinis. So we went on the street. Excuse me, sir, could you give a donation? I got initiation yesterday and I want to give some Guru Dakshin to my spiritual master. We're in Dhoti Kurta. In those days it was very open. We didn't hide ourselves. So the man would say, Guru what? Guru what? Oh, Guru Dakshin, sir. Guru Dakshin. Oh, here you are. Go on, be off with you. Anyway, we managed to collect, each one of us, we collected throughout the day, and in the end of the day we put all the money together and gave it to the servant. And then after the following morning's class, we were then ushered up to Prabhupada's room and to give the Guru Dakshin. So when we walked in, we paid our obeisances. Prabhupada was facing the other direction, and then suddenly he turned around, and then we paid our obeisances again. And then I think it was me that was, I said, Srila Prabhupada, here is Guru Dakshin for you. It's our appreciation for giving us initiation. Then we paid our obeisances again. And then Prabhupada said to his servant, give them Mangal Arti sweet. And then we paid our obeisances again. And then when we had the sweet in our hand, we didn't know whether to eat it there or... So we ended up paying our obeisances again. And by this time Prabhupada was very amused to see the British boys and girls bowing down like that. Because by nature the British, they're, it's all about the nose. And Prabhupada, his job was to bring the nose down. So he was very amused to see us bowing down like that so many times. And then he said, thank you very much. We bowed down again. And then we staggered out of the room. And I said to the servant, wow, we really made a mess of that. And he said, no, actually, you did very well. He said that for a disciple, he should feel like a fool in front of the spiritual master. And if he feels anything other than a fool, then he really is a fool. So this was my first experience of being initiated. Sometimes people ask, oh, you're so lucky you met Prabhupada. But I can be very honest with you. I don't know about my other God brothers and sisters, but I know for myself, I could not understand Prabhupada. In those early days, I was so covered over, so full of myself. We didn't know really how to serve Prabhupada properly, the way he should have been served. If he came today, I would know how to serve him. So in one sense, I could safely say that even if you didn't see Prabhupada, nor did I, in the true sense, I didn't see him either. And therefore there's really no difference in one sense that you're also followers of Srila Prabhupada. You may not have had his personal darshan, but we did. And even though we did, we really didn't. The darshan was very shallow. We were so unconscious. Now Krishna Consciousness is so much more dynamic. You have all the facilities at your disposal. When I went to Vrindavan, there was just the foundation of the Krishna Balaram Mandir. That was our temple, the foundation. Otherwise we were in what is it, that Dharamshala? Fogel Dharamshala. So here's your room, just a piece of, not even a bed. And look at Krishna Consciousness today. We didn't even have any books. We didn't have seminars. There was no such thing as the Bhakti Shastri. So when I see the facilities that you have today, I'm thinking how fortunate you are that Krishna Consciousness has come up like this with so many facilities and so many opportunities. It doesn't mean to say that there was any lack in one sense in those days. I'm not saying that today is better. The mercy of Guru is always there, whether there are facilities or no facilities. As Prabhupada would say, we don't need all this technology. He gave the example of the mouse who's making his home for the winter, and the snake is outside waiting for him to build the home so that when it's finished, he will go in and eat the mouse and take over the home. He said, we're not going to bother ourselves with making all these technological things. Let them do it. Let them waste their time. But then we'll take whatever they create and use it in Krishna's service. And then sometimes people complain, why you're not doctors, why you're not scientists, why you're not this, Well, there's already so many doctors. We're doctors of the soul, Prabhupada would say. We will prevent people from going to hospitals in the first place. The only reason why there are so many hospitals, because there didn't used to be so many hospitals, because people were Krishna conscious. Now there's no Krishna consciousness. Instead of temples, you have hospitals. So we will reverse as before. We're building temples so that there is no need to go to the hospital. So whatever the situation is, whatever our environment is, we're always very fortunate because we have Guru. His mercy raining down upon us is all we really need. And whether we have a lot of facilities or no facilities, we can be happy and peaceful. So please, don't leave Krishna consciousness. We're on the boat. It's Lord Chaitanya's boat. It's crossing the ocean of material saga. That ocean is very, very wide, long, massive. To try to cross that ocean on our own is not possible. But because we have the mercy of Guru and Krishna, everything is possible. So much so that that great, vast ocean can be reduced to a simple pond which can easily be stepped over. This is the power of Krishna consciousness. So even if you're on the boat and one day you're feeling some seasickness, don't lose your good intelligence. Don't think, I've got to get off this boat because I'm feeling sick. It's the waves that are rocking the boat. You want to jump back into the free modes of nature, the waves of material nature? Better to stay on the boat and remain above those waves, above the modes, and be transcendentally situated. This is Krishna consciousness. We are very fortunate. Let's remain fortunate. Let's remain peaceful and happy. And also, ultimately, what is Krishna consciousness for? It's so that we can go back to Krishna, back home, back to Godhead. Srila Prabhupada gave us reassurance that if we were to be sincere, just sincere, sincerely chant your japa, sincerely serve Krishna, do some service, sincerely serve the Vaishnavas, then there's every guarantee of going back home even in this lifetime. So there is all good fortune for all of us. So much so that I think it was Jamuna who approached Prabhupada and she said, the Prabhus will easily go back home, back to Godhead, because they have good intelligence. But we are women. What is our fate? We will not, because we are women, we will not be able to achieve the same goal as the Prabhus. And Prabhupada said, yes, that is correct, if you think that you are women. He said, but actually you're not women, you're Vaishnavis. And therefore you have equal opportunity as the Prabhus. There's no distinction in Krishna consciousness. So, on that note, I will finish. Srila Prabhupada ki, going back home, back to Godhead ki, but we must chant our 16 rounds ki.
Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityananda. रख दो. नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद. हे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे. हरे राम हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे. राम हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे. हरे राम हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. हरे कृष्णा Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna.